Fellas. What's up, fellas? Anybody on? Fellas. What's up, fellas? Hello, hello, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you now.
Okay, it's Milton.
Yeah, this is Milton.
Mr. Bell, how you doing, man?
Gene Smith, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, man.
Hey, the legend, man. The legend, Gene Smith, man. Thank you so much for having me, my brother. It's truly an honor.
Man, you have no idea how many times your name has come up and Johnny's name has come up in terms of how important your roles were on teams.
Oh, man. Thank you, brother.
And just some of the stories. So I hope you guys feel free to share those stories.
Sure, man. Sure, man. Anything I can, looking for, it's an honor, man. Of course, you know, hey, believe it or not, man, I remember as well, Coach, I'm talking about you as well, man. And that Hoya defense that you used to play, my brother. I mean, anytime we were told how to play defense, you were the example that was used, you know, that lets you know the love that Coach and those guys had for you, man, because you were the epitome of Georgetown basketball defense, you know. And so unfortunately we weren't able to play I wasn't able to play your type of defense, but hey, man, you know, it's just an honor, man. It's incredible what you guys are doing, man, and Johnny and I talk all the time, so it's just like, you know, just like being at home, man.
Okay, well, I just got to tell you, like I said, both of the names come up often, so I'm excited to share. I think unsung heroes. You know, I embraced being a role player while I was there. I truly embraced it, and I knew the teams were only as good as that white team. So if that white team was bringing the pain to practice, it always worked out.
Hey, man, it was something, man. Jones and I mean, you know, we just tried to, I think that was one of the things that we were just trying to make ourselves better, but at the same time, make our teammates better by going all out and just, you know, it was a team thing, and, you know, just trying to make your teammates better by going at them as hard as you can, because like Johnny always says, those guys weren't taking it easy. Syracuse and those guys, they weren't taking it easy on the first team. So, hey, nor should we, brother.
Okay. Johnny, I'm liking these beards, man. These beards are on point.
Hey, man, old school, man. I've been growing up.
You looking like you about 30.
Hey, look like you still in shape, man, like you ready to go out there.
In this thing.
All right, fellas, we're live. Are we live yet? We're about to be live, fellas.
Okay.
Preparing to be live.
Oh, okay.
I'm so glad I had a chance to listen to the podcast you two did.
Y'all always enjoy talking to Milton.
That put me in the right frame of mind to talk to you guys.
Hey, man, it's family, you know. Johnny and I would not have been able to survive in Washington, D.C. without mentors like Johnny Jones and Sam Jefferson and these guys, Kemet, and these guys, you know, just a lot of OGs, as the young guys call it. And I'm just blessed to, the older you get, you realize the blessings that you have and had. And so that's why I always call these guys and thank them, you know, just for putting up with a young knucklehead like myself, man, like Milton Bell.
All right. This is Hoya Locker Room, episode 20. I have two esteemed gentlemen in the building, Johnny Jones and Milton Bell. Even though I didn't play with these guys, I feel like, you know, we're all connected by that thread. And the fact that you guys caught Coach Thompson after the Olympics, and I had him prior to the Olympics, I think we can share some interesting practice stories maybe, because I can't imagine what it must have been like when he came back from the Olympics to coach. So you know, again, we can jump into that, but just from the start, I want to thank you both for being here. Part of what this Hoya locker room deal is to celebrate each and every Hoya that put on that uniform, and to give them the opportunity to share their story, how they got there, and what transpired while they were there, and how once they left, it impacted your life post basketball. Milton, I especially want to delve into you because you damn near had a 20-year career, professional basketball career. And I'm just trying to figure out how in Iceland you went from one team to the rival team, dropping 30s and 10s and triple doubles along the way. So I don't want you to be shy about that. And Johnny, if you can share with me, was it Olden Polynesian you dunked on? So I say all that to say that you guys are so part of the very fabric of what Georgetown is all about. And I want to give you an opportunity to, where you're at now, what's going on with you now. But first and foremost, what brought each of you to the hilltop? You came under different circumstances.
Right.
Milton, you being, in the DMV and already had some blue and gray in your blood. And then Johnny, I'm interested, you were at UDC for a minute, or how did all that work out? So I gave you a lot for an intro, but the mic is all yours. We got as much time as we need.
You can go first, Milt. I mean, you was the DMV.
I gotta let my OG Johnny, please, brother, Mr. Honor, man, please just take the lead for me. I'll follow you as usual since 1988.
And I want to say something, Milton, because you just demonstrated how we're cut from the same cloth. Because what I always defer to seniority.
Always.
And I learned that was a big thing with Big John. Even if a cat wasn't playing, you coming in there as a freshman, if he wants your chair, you're gonna give him your chair. Now, granted, that very seldom happened, but you just demonstrated something that was key. Seniority, it's on you, JJ.
Okay. My circumstance was coming out of high school. That's when they first started, I guess, having a 2.0 in order to receive a D1 scholarship. And at the time, I didn't have one. I think I graduated with 1.8, 1.9. So different colleges was coming to me with different options, the junior college route. And the University of Miami was recruiting me, and they were saying that if I go to UDC for a year, I transferred, then I have 3 years eligibility instead of 2. At the time, I wasn't interested in going to the University of Miami. Actually, I think Syracuse was going to be my first choice. Then Georgetown got into it, and I always, Pat, you, watching y'all on television, and just going from that stigma of receiving a 1.9 and what y'all represented, education and everything else, I wanted to change that narrative of myself. Talking to John, I went up for a visit. Visited DC, University of the District of Columbia, fell in love with DC. I had never been in an environment where it was 70% Black. Here in Florida in the South, it's mostly white and segregated. So to see that, I guess it's like what people see in Atlanta or what they envision in Atlanta. It's like, the last time I went to DC, it changed a lot from when we was in school, but yeah. So, but back then, I mean, I couldn't imagine going anywhere else. That was pretty much it. Then went to UDC for a year, transferred. When I was there, I think Michael Graham was attempted to go to UDC. We was excited about that. Played the year at UDC, transferred over to Georgetown. I had that first year of sitting out. My house.
How did they recruit you?
Good question. I guess it would be similar to what I saw your podcast with Sleepy, where someone had told them about me. They sent someone down to watch me play a high school game. He came down during the summer. I was playing in the summer league, and he came down and watched me play. And it's funny that they still recruited me because everyone saw Big John come in. They didn't want to give me the ball. Everyone was shooting to put on their best game. It was like, okay, well, let me try to play defense and show them I can play defense. But yeah, that's pretty much how it went. Got to UDC, played that year. Like I said, transferred to Georgetown and couldn't ask for a better experience.
Were you told you were going to play? Did they compliment your game in a way that they thought you fit at Georgetown? Because I'm asking because you wore number 22.
Right.
I just assumed they brought you in to play defense.
Honestly, I mean, I'm not sure why. I mean, when I first got there, honestly, because I read your questions, like what brought you to Georgetown and how, you know, what was your goals? I think each person that went to Georgetown, the ultimate goal was playing the league. Because you're talking about the top players, you know, from their state. You talk about the top players in the country. You know, I mean, since I was there, you figure we had 2 or 3 National Player of the Years: Anthony Tucker, Alonzo Mourning, Reggie Williams. You figure that's everyone's ultimate goal, to play in the league, and that was my goal. So when I first got there, honestly, Reggie, last year was my first year at Georgetown. And I used to go at Reggie every day. That's when we broke my wrist. We still laugh about that to this day. But my goal was to play in the league and have a career. And that's why I don't understand why a lot of pro athletes allow people who don't play in the league to tell them about their life and what they should and how they should be perceived. If you made it to the top of your profession, if I was a lawyer and I'm you know, litigating a case in front of the Supreme Court, that's something that should be celebrated. If I'm an athlete that went through, you know, playing Little League, playing all these different AAU, you know, circuits and everything else, high school ball, college ball, and making it to pros, that says a lot. Like you said, with Milton playing, you know, transferring, going from one team to another team, getting 30, you know, playing with people that's dedicating their life to this. This is not somebody that goes on the park and, you know, just go up and throw up some shots. These are people that are sitting there feeding their families with this profession. And for people to go and be like, oh, you're just a basketball player. No, you're more than that. You're the top of your profession. You know, I happened to go out with Alonzo one night, and we was talking because I teach. And he was like, man, I appreciate you, a teacher and everything else. And I'm like, yeah, I hear that, but I want to be where you are. I don't want to go, if I want a car, take out a loan, I want to go bam, you know, and live that lifestyle. That's my dream. And he's at the top, you know, Hall of Famer. He's able to take care of not only his, you know, kids, but his kids' kids. And to me, that's the ultimate goal and ultimate compliment as far as success of your career. If you can do that, I mean, how can anybody tell you differently? You know,
Touched on something that was got a little static here. You touched on something that was cool because when I think about Milton Bell, McDonald's All-American,
right?
He come into a program where, you know, that's where he belongs. I mean, you look at McDonald's All-Americans, you know, Milton Bell's on that list. What was it like for you coming into that scenario with already having Georgetown DNA, so to speak? And then if you can touch on what Johnny talked about, how you transferred that into a successful pro career. And especially that story you shared about your son at the airport and Johnny picking him up. Just, you know, the bond that you two share, if you could touch on that as well.
Sure. It's simple. It's very simple for me. Without mentors like Johnny Jones and Kemet, Sam Jefferson, you as well, Gene, you and Patrick Ewing, you guys, I grew up, I think it's fair to say that every African-American young man in the United States, and even the parents, your parents wanted you to be blessed enough to play for John Thompson. And I think the bar that you guys set for us guys that followed, it was like a factory. It was a basketball factory, and it produced not only pro basketball players, but it produced educated African-American men. And I think, thinking back, thinking about what my mom used to always say, my mom was a huge fan of John Thompson, the man, way before I was offered a scholarship. And so I hear a lot of the players, I heard Allen Iverson and some of the other guys say, Coach Thompson really saved their lives. And I'm in agreement with that 100%, because for me, like you said, I had family that actually went to Georgetown before, I think it was 83, 84. They received their doctorate from Georgetown. They went and got their master's. And so from an educational standpoint, my mother really pushed me to be like my family, and being at Georgetown was so close. And for what Coach stood for, giving a Black man, and as we all know today, an African-American man with an education is powerful. That goes without saying. Even more so today, you look at the things that are going on in society, in the streets, especially here in Richmond, Virginia. We have protests almost every night. So it was truly a blessing. I don't think that I realized that when I was 18, 19 years old. But I turned 50 this year, and the older that I've gotten, and you really get a chance to talk to guys like my mentors, Johnny and Sam and Mark Tillman as well. And you see that we are a brotherhood, and it's a fraternity, but it's a fraternity that was started by you guys. You guys, I think Coach has been at Georgetown, or was at Georgetown from early on. And every time that we were there as freshmen, we would come in, and guys like Michael Jackson, Patrick, Sleepy Floyd, guys like yourself, you guys always came in with positive energy, always trying to encourage us. And so it's so often that I see the alumni come to the games, or they come to the practices, and they automatically challenge the newer kids, right? Saying that you have to be like us, or you have to do things this way, or you guys are not playing as hard as we did. And so to kind of answer your question, we had great role models. We had great role models in you guys that came before us, guys like myself. I had great role models in Charles Smith, Jonathan Edwards, Anthony Allen, Johnny Jones, Sam Jefferson, those guys that showed me, hey man, this is how this is done. And so when you see that something is so successful as the Georgetown basketball program, you just got to fall in line and do your part. That's all you have to do, nothing extra, nothing more, nothing less. You just got to do your part to make it. And I think to leave it in the condition that it was when you found it. And I'm just blessed. Like I said, every day I talk to someone, whether it be on the phone or on a podcast, and someone always brings up Coach Thompson or Georgetown basketball. And so over the years, I have just been overwhelmed with the blessing, because I really didn't know what I was doing. I think we all will agree that when you're young, you're just having fun and doing something that you love. And not until you get older do you figure out what you actually did, if that makes any sense what I'm saying.
Makes perfect sense. And it further illustrates to me, and I'm not going to let you off the hook, by the way, on that pro career. We're going to get back to that. Because, you know, 50 is 50. I don't care where you at. 50 is 50. But I couldn't think of two gentlemen that illustrate more what the program's about. And that's, you spent 2 years there, Milton.
Right.
And Johnny, you did graduate. So it's almost like you two, but you left and you didn't finish your graduate. And I'm saying all this to say your family, right? We balled in McDonald, we bled blue and gray. You were on some incredible teams. You know, the Princeton game, Princeton game changed the whole Final Four, the whole March Madness. You guys were part of that. And then just to let you know, and Johnny, you're off the hook, but I watched the Xavier game this morning, and I'm still trying to figure out what happened. So, Milton, can you let me know what happened to the Xavier? I'm still not over the Xavier game.
I'm trying to remember back. Let's see, Jones, I don't think, I maybe had transferred. Don't quote me, but I think.
Had you transferred by then?
I think I had transferred. I think Johnny and those guys, was that after I left? I think Johnny, maybe was Churchwell there? I know Zoe Matumbo was there.
Zoe Matumbo, Tillman, David Edwards, Brian. Tillman was a senior.
Tillman was a senior,
Yeah.
right. Maybe I was there. You have to forgive my mind.
If you blocked it out, it's okay, because I'm trying to block it out. It's okay.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but it was, it was tough. We didn't lose a lot. Didn't lose a lot, and it wasn't something that we were accustomed to be honest. We didn't plan to lose. I think it's one of those things that, going back to Coach Thompson used to always say, and I still remember this to this day, he would say before the games, he says that if someone were to take a Georgetown jersey and open the door of the opposing team and throw that jersey in the locker room, that team would be mortified, right? So they were already fearful of having to play us, but it was his way of letting us know, I think, the level of fear that teams had, and because they knew that we were well prepared, well coached, and that the talent that we had was second to none. So it's one of those things that you try to block out the bad moments like the losses. Going back,
or you embrace them to move forward.
Or you embrace them to move forward. Yeah.
So Johnny, for you, when did you feel like you had established your role or what it was going to be on the team? Because the stories I hear about you is that, like, Johnny's not the only one that thought he should have played pro. So you had a great game your sophomore year, 14 points out the box. So it was like, did you find your rhythm and you just realized my contribution is going to be on the white team, or when did you figure out your role for the crew?
I don't think you really ever figure out your role because, like I said before,
on the team. Yeah.
Right. I think that you constantly trying to get on that blue team. Let me say this first, because I think some people are left out the conversation of Thompson legacy.
Awesome.
Yeah. One of the person that I feel is left out is his ex-wife, Miss Thompson. She was one of the first person to help me get a job once I left Georgetown.
Wow.
Ronnie, I mean, when Mill says that there's people that help you through the transition, Ronnie was one of the people that helped me through that transition of not playing and everything, because it was tough. I don't think anyone ever goes to Georgetown and feel like, I want to be a bench player. I want to sit on this bench. I want to play.
Speak for yourself, Johnny. He told me from my recruiting pitch was, I'm bringing you here to be a practice player.
Yeah.
And, he didn't realize I'm from DC. You tell somebody from DC that, we're going to take that as a challenge.
Correct. And my thing is that, like I said before, your role is pretty much given to you by the coach. That's who makes the decisions. You may not agree with that decision. And like I said before, it ain't like I'm sitting there like, okay. But you do come to a at peace moment. I remember my at peace moment because I'm like stressing out because you want to get on the floor. There are times, honestly, if I'm being real here,
you gotta be real. It's a locker room. It's a locker room.
So we lost a couple of games, so we can make some changes. Like, okay, I need to get in there, man.
Did you voice those changes to anyone?
Oh yeah, there was no. Me and Milton have been saying when he's going to practice. We talking to everybody from the Kimbe to Kanye. Everybody got to get it. When we was in practice, it was like that was our only time to vent any frustration out.
Right.
And again, it wasn't like I was going there saying, I want to be on the bench, I want to stay on the bench or anything like that.
Competitive.
Right. But you do come to a realization that, certain players are going to play. And it is what it is. But Milton, Ronnie, and like I said before, the people that I think when I've been hearing all these, people talking about the legacy and everything else, I do think that she needs to get, a round of applause for her contribution to the program. Miss Mary Finland, you were talking about stories. The first time I ever called Miss Finland, I remember sitting on the bed. Charles Smith was across from me. And when they say, call and share what you did in class, my thing is, okay, well, I went to class, nothing big. Yeah, she would start asking me questions. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know that. Man, this lady cursed me out for 30 to 40 minutes. Like, what the? I'm like, on the phone, like, spinning, like, what's going on with this?
Nobody told you?
No. See, Andrew Allen, Sam, all of them knew. They had all their notes all spread out, filling all this advice. I'm in there with upperclassmen. I was in there with Reggie, Ronnie Highsmith, and Charles Smith.
Wow.
So I'm sitting in there, I called Miss Finland. Hey, how you doing, Miss Finland? Say, okay, tell me what you did. So I'm like, okay, well, I went to class, I had this period, this hour or whatever, it was okay. Well, what about this? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what you mean, what about this? Man, that lady went crazy. That next day, you would have swore I took every note, wrote down every word professor said, everything spread out. But her contribution to the program goes without saying. And to add on when people say Thompson saved their life, I wouldn't say he saved my life. I would say he enriched my life. He made it a lot. He helped me understand things that, in this area that we're in now, with all this, racial unrest and everything. I have a clear understanding based on my experience at Georgetown. Based on experience, even not playing, like when people say sports is the great equalizer, like you play, no, that's not true. If that was the case, everybody would be playing. All of us would get extra, the same amount of minutes, and we will all be playing everything else. It goes a lot with that. And you understand that life is not fair. You understand that there are inequalities and everything else, and you got to voice yourself. One of the questions is that you ask, do we feel like we got the most out of our education at Georgetown? No, I can answer that, obviously. Milton said it himself, when you're young, you just, you're playing basketball and everything else. And like I said, I've been watching your podcast. And one of the things that Sleepy said that he would go and network, like when he go into different areas and stuff. That's not something that we thought about while we was there. We go into school with people that have become congressmen, senators, own their businesses and stuff. Like we wasn't networking with those people at our time there, setting ourselves up for when we leave. And I think that's one of the things that I regret most, is not taking advantage of being at an institution like Georgetown and taking advantage of those connections. So
that's awesome. That's awesome you said that, because I salute you and I agree with you in terms of Miss Finland, Gwen Thompson, the Thompson family. And I think that just speaks to when you see Alonzo send his son there, when you see Reggie send his son there. And we know, those aren't easy scenarios. I mean, it wasn't easy for JT3 to coach at Georgetown with his dad there.
Right.
I mean, the hilltop with the diversity being what it is, just think when I was there, the diversity was less.
Right.
I mean, I think the campus now is anywhere between 7 to 10%, maybe as high as 13% Black. But again, no, I think the number actually may be lower. But the point I'm trying to make is that was an adjustment period for all of us. Right. And that still probably exists to some degree today.
Right.
What Thompson, I think, did for all of us, and the reason why I wanted to have you guys on is we have more in common than just the fact that we had the jersey on the front of our chest. Like we had to figure out how to contribute with not being on the court.
Right.
And, navigating that is not always easy. But again, both your names always came up with how you kept the team together. You kept levity, right? If it was a pressure situation, you guys always were able to break the pressure. And off the court, you galvanized a lot. Like a lot of people gathered around you. And, again, I just think that's important. And I want to celebrate you guys for that. So again, Thompson's imprint on us is, without a doubt, is indelible. But I think we are each unique individuals in our own right. And that's why this Hoya locker room to me is a platform for us to just share that. Milton, you want to jump in on anything there?
Sure, man. To piggyback off what Johnny said, I often, he and I talk, and I often wish I had been more outgoing. And I pretty much hung around Johnny and my teammates on a daily basis. But I'm looking back on it from a networking standpoint. Johnny has a great point in maybe we didn't take advantage of everything that was offered to us at Georgetown, because if you look at it, Georgetown University, of course, is in the nation's capital, huge basketball following, but from an educational standpoint, when you look at some of the top lawyers and top professions of today, they're graduates of Georgetown. And so it would have been nice, of course, we had friends, or I had friends that were in some classes of mine and had had friends who were going in other directions, were focused on their education as well. And so it would have been a great honor to maybe had a chance to support them the way they supported us. All of our friends in our classes, they always came to games. And so I'm looking back on it, and at 50 years old, to say, hey, I wish we could have supported the student body as much as they supported us, because as we all know, they were there, man. They were loyal, win, lose, or draw. They were loyal. They were there. And believe it or not, when I follow some of these blogs and follow Eugene, they're still supportive. They're still there. You see people from Georgetown class of 61 or Georgetown class of 71. And so these people are part of our family. And it just makes me wish that I had been more outgoing as a young person. But I'm from, I went to John Marshall High School in the inner city of Richmond, Virginia. Virginia, as we all know, is the capital of the South. And so I also heard Johnny touch on, and you as well, Gene, touched on the diversity that was at Georgetown when I got there. So for me, coming from an inner city, to put it mildly, as the young people say, I'm from the bricks. You don't get more inner city of Richmond, Virginia.
From the concrete.
Concrete. And so we probably had in my senior class, to be honest, I don't think we had any Caucasian students. And so I graduated in May from John Marshall. By the end of May, I was on campus. And so you're talking about total culture shock for a young man like me, 17 years old. I'm not really having the wherewithal to kind of open your mind and open your mouth and speak to people, especially people of different races. And so just being around guys like Johnny and Mark and Alonzo Mourning as well, who's from Virginia. We played AAU together. I'm sure his
You guys were McDonald's All-Americans together too as well, right?
Diversity was similar to mine. Right, exactly. We played McDonald's All-American together. So for me, that was a great thing to have someone that you come in with that you knew from 2 years before. We started playing Boo Williams, AAU during our 11th grade year. So we had known each other 2 years before, and then to come in.
Can you hear him? Johnny, can you hear Milton?
I hear him.
Okay.
Like
can you guys see me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was just saying that it was just looking back and wishing that I had been more, or maybe had been exposed a little more to more diversity. I think would have helped my situation and helped me to be more open to saying, hi, I'm Milton Bell from Richmond, Virginia. How are you? Whereas I was a little focused, maybe a little bit too focused. I'm sure.
Did you guys have Upper Bound? Did you have that program Upper Bound when you were there? Like the summer program where they brought in the freshmen?
Right. I had freshman in the Upper Bound, and that really, I actually met my classmates before I had a chance to meet my teammates, believe it or not. Because as a freshman, I think we were in maybe Healy dorm, right in the circle. And so it opened me up. Some of my friends that I did have from that Upper Bound program that you're speaking of, Gene, still friends of mine today, believe it or not. And so that was my introduction to the life at Georgetown, if you will.
And the reason why I'm glad you expounded on that, because what I hope is, people from alumni services, people from the university are peeping the podcast and just thinking about ways that we can connect the dots, ways that, because now it's 2020. Everybody should be talking to everybody. We're basically in a virtual world now. So it's a lot easier to connect. It may be more impersonal, but it's a lot easier to connect. So in terms of talking to student athletes differently, and sharing that with the entire university. So providing opportunities while you're there to network and get to meet people. So then once you leave, you've already established those relationships, that rapport. And it's never, guys, it's never too late. I hope that some of your classmates who you have forgotten about that still remember you might see you on this podcast, and you know, you might get something, you might get a DM. That's why, Johnny, you have to get on social media, Johnny.
You know something, you touched on something, because as you was talking, I was sitting there thinking, like, why wasn't it done a lot more when we was in school? But the climate was a lot different back then. The difference is that a lot of times you didn't want boosters and different people within your program because of the influence that they may have, you know, the legal aspect of it, of giving money and different things like that. So that was kind of separate. But the
Hoya paranoia.
Right. So the kind of changes that I think, I'm not sure what's the climate today with all the changes going on, but I think that that bridge can be brought together, and these kids can benefit by being at an institution like Georgetown. As far as, like, I look at Duke, and I look at all the players that are on TV, you know, doing the telecast and everything else. There has to be some networking going on in that. You know, different Duke players that are getting jobs in coaching, and you got the guy in Philadelphia who's in charge of personnel and everything. So that goes with networking. And like they said, Steve Nash got the job. Why? Because he's good friend. He knows the guy who owns I guess the Nets or whoever, you know, personally. And if these players are able to, like you said, interact a little bit more with the student body and with the different people that owns these companies, I think it will make a huge difference for when they graduate and everything else. One of the reasons why I was joking with you last night when I was saying thanks, coach, you know, for giving me this playing time, is that we normally don't get this opportunity. You know, you're going to hear about the Lonzo, and I can understand why it's business. You want people to come and watch, and you're going to have the Lonzos, the Dikembes, and everything else. So we rarely get this opportunity to voice our opinion and to say what's on our mind and everything. And I really appreciate you giving us that. I'm really grateful for that, to have this opportunity, because we don't get it. It's like, you know, you sit at the bench, and all of a sudden you say, go in there, Johnny. You know, you're like, oh shoot, you know.
Well, from what I understand, Johnny, you go in there jacking up shots. You going to get buckets.
I might not get a time again. You know, I remember, like, we played against Syracuse in the Big East championship game. Bill gave me a sweet pass. I had just got off the bench like 20 seconds. So I went up the dunk, missed it. So I'm in the elevator with Coach Riley. Coach Riley, like, why would you do that? You know, you just got, I said, man, I might never get another chance like that again. You think I'm going to like, you lost your mind? So what I missed?
This is my Sports Center moment. You bugging.
Like, come on now. Like, for real? You asked me that?
Wow. Yeah, like I said, it's important to me. And it was just a matter of time. Like I said, your names always come up. Some of the stories we can only share in the locker room off the air, you know, because but I'm just letting you know, I know. I know you two are trouble. Milton, can you talk to us a little bit about your basketball school, what you got going on down there, and if, because I'm always thinking of ways that we can connect amongst ourselves. And I don't think we should be shy about reaching out to each other, because no ain't never killed nobody. I got a friend who tells me that all the time. Mark Tillman tells me that all the time. No ain't never killed nobody but the man that's getting robbed. I think that's the saying. Right. So we should do more of this on our own. And to a point you made, Johnny, it's 2020. If the school is not encouraging you to network and providing you with resources, if the program is not encouraging you or providing you with resources, Gene Smith, Johnny Jones, Milton Bell, former Hoyas, we're encouraging you to do it while you're there. Because I share with you the same sentiments. I didn't network while I was there. I was too busy. My freshman and sophomore year, I thought I was going to flunk out.
Right.
I mean, it was a huge adjustment. But
Correct.
through watching Smitty, Irk Smith, Ed Briggs, who you both know very well,
Right.
Eric Floyd, you look to the seniors, and we had a cat. There's always one smart guy on the team, Milton, like a Johnny. So we had a Ron Blaylock. So, you find people in the program to emulate that are successful. You're watching them be successful. So all you have to do is follow that program. Now, you're going to do it differently, but there's a program there for you to follow. Johnny, it's impressive that you're still working with kids and you're still teaching and learning and giving back. I think that's huge. I hope you both reach out to cats you ball with to touch base, so maybe we can connect on things that we're all doing with our current endeavors.
Correct.
But for 2 minutes to 3 minutes, Milton, give me Argentina and Iceland. Your ball. I gotta hear some stories, cause you balled out.
Well, I was blessed, Gene. I was blessed, like all of us here, to be taught basketball the right way. I was blessed to be taught basketball the right way by Coach Thompson, Coach Riley, Mrs. Finland, how to educate yourself. And I think not only were we blessed to be able to be taught how to play the game of basketball the correct way, I think we were also blessed to be taught how to carry yourself as an African-American man in society. Doesn't matter whether you're in the United States or you're overseas, you still have to carry yourself a certain way. And I remember Coach always instilling, and the first thing that he instilled in me was we had to come to the games dressed appropriately, because if you came dressed appropriately, you would be taken serious. If you came with a do-rag on, or you came with your pants sagging, or you came with your tennis shoes unsigned,
That wasn't the option.
Wasn't the option, but those things that I learned from Coach Thompson and from Johnny Jones and Mark Tillman and those guys, how to carry yourself off of the court. It's funny, we have our own consulting company where we were blessed to have 10 players signed in our last year. And it's very simple. It's friends of mine that I played with or played against or played for that call me for players now. I try to share those messages and try to, majority are African-American young men, that you're going to be judged on who you are and what you do, maybe even more so than how you play. So let's say, for example,
Hold on, Milt.
Jump in there, Johnny.
You are the 5 best players to ever play
you
in
guys
the
still hear that?
Argentinian league. The man said, come on now, Milt. You are the top 5 players to ever play in the Argentinian league.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank
I
you.
appreciate it, man. I really appreciate it. It's humbling. It's humbling.
Hey, Johnny, I was looking through my notes because I got stats here on this dude. And I'm like, he gonna give me something. He gonna give me a story. He played in the same season against the same team and gave him 30 both times. I'm like, dude,
well,
you're a legend.
I gotta say, Gene, when I arrived on Georgetown's campus for my upper bound program, right? When I set foot in the Kenner League for the first time, you're talking about a country kid from Richmond, Virginia. Everyone that was on my team, right, to me, was already a pro. Because you take someone like a Johnny Jones, who's 6'8", 215 pounds, runs fast, jumps high. I
Johnny, he
played
ain't gonna
center
give us
my
nothing.
senior
He ain't gonna give us
year
nothing, Johnny.
Let
John
me give you
Mark.
something. Forget all that, Milt. Let me give you
Play
something.
center. So
We in practice. Milton comes down. This is no exaggeration, no nothing. This man
what I'm
comes down.
saying,
You got two of the greatest shot blockers
I
in the history of
learned-
basketball.
I was able to learn.
You got
Hey, Milt, I'm gonna put you on mute if you don't let Johnny tell the
It's
story.
a
I'm gonna put
blessing
you on
because
mute.
I was able to be around it.
This man, you got two of the greatest shot blockers in the history of college basketball. Kimber Mutombo, Alonzo Mourning. This man jumped. And again, no exaggeration. This man dunked on both of them. When a rack went up, moved the ball from the Kimbe and dunked on Alonzo. At that particular time, that's the highest brother I ever seen jump in my life. This man here, honestly, we had a conversation before we talked to you. And I told him straight up, because I was told about transferring and everything else with some of the questions. And Milt transferred to Richmond. I was hoping that he played, that people can see what we saw in practice all the time. That if he was given the opportunity, that's what he could give. The biggest thing as far as, I guess, playing time, when you asked us this question about playing, is confidence. When you're a starter, you know you have Thompson's confidence. When you're not a starter, you're not sure about that. You're scared to make mistakes because you not know if you're going to get pulled, different things like that. When you watching Milt play basketball with the athletic ability that he had, and like you said, he was a McDonald's All-American. And not know how the people that was on that team, Alonzo Mourning,
Sean Kemp was on the West. Yeah.
Right. Billy Owens, all these different, that's the All-American team that he was on. And people forget that when he came there, when I looked at the stats of him blocking shots in high school, he blocked shots at the same level that Alonzo was blocking shots. So I'm like, God, who is this kid coming in? Because Thompson told us about, we got these horses coming in next year. We went.
He did that to us too.
He got these horses coming in and da-da-da-da-da. So I'm like, okay. So, you see Alonzo and everything else. So the first time I actually seen Milton play was, let me see if I can remember. It may have been Kennel League. But the first time I really seen him go after people was in practice. And like I said, we had this thing from Kyle to Kimbe. We give you. This man,
we giving it to you.
Giving it to him. Like Thompson always said, we are 3 men away from a championship. I'm thinking to myself, there you go right there. Right there. Milt was a beast. And like I said before, he's not giving you, like I said, I read the article where he was one of the 5, I think he's one of the 5 best players to ever play in Argentina. And I'm like, that's incredible.
That's incredible to me.
If I could
that jersey, that Argentinian jersey should be in McDonough.
Oh wow! Hey man, that's a blessing.
That's
so much, man. That's
because this is where we're at now in terms of celebrating each other. And Johnny, thank you so much for telling the stories because he wasn't going to tell them. Now tell me about this dunk on Olden Polonies. That was some of the best runs ever. That's what I loved about Georgetown was the summertime when the pros came back. And to me, that's where you can get some playing time for the next season.
Right. I would say this. That's one of the best things about going to Georgetown during the time that we went there. You had the Olden Polonies come in. I remember Xavier McDaniels in there lifting weights, and playing. Muggsy Bogues and even just the players that we had. Like I said, be able to go every day and practice against Reggie Williams. And one of the players that I don't think get the credit that he deserves as being a Georgetown great is Charles Smith.
Yeah.
The boy was a beast. He went head to head with Chris Jackson, in that LSU game back and forth. And I remember the reporters asking him, what do you think about Chris Jackson? He's like, you need to ask him what do you think about me. You know, the boy was a beast. And it's funny because I seen like little snippets of Allen Iverson on the Up in Smoke podcast. And I would say this because he said, you know, when people think of Georgetown, they think of him. No, I think at a younger generation, but the overall history of Georgetown, I'm not gonna lie to you. I said on the last podcast, I didn't know anything about Georgetown. You know, you saw the George, you just figured Georgia or something. I figured it was in Georgia somewhere. Patrick Ewing's, you know, stepped out and pretty much put Georgetown at a national level. Then you figure that when this man came out, they created a lottery. The other thing that he said as far as Thompson coaching guards, Smitty's, like I said before, Big East Player of the Year.
He brought Smitty in to be a defensive specialist. That changed.
Right. Correct. So I think Allen Iverson is the most popular at this particular junction as far as the kids who are growing up now. I guess it's like I always tell people, like me and my brother, we always discuss who's the greatest basketball player ever, which I don't believe there's such a thing. But, you know, people will say, you know, Jordan, everything else. Yeah, because that's who you grew up seeing. You saw everything that he did. It's like with Milton. You wouldn't know that he was a top 5 in the history of Argentina, unless you watched them play. But here it is. If you was able to see his clips and see the different things that he did, then it would be a whole different, you know, aspect of who he is. And here it is, Michael Jordan, yeah, great. But you never saw a Wilt Chamberlain score average 50 points for a season.
No.
You know, you never saw Oscar Robertson average a triple-double. So to sit there and say, okay, this is based on a limited amount of knowledge that you have is sorely mistaken. Allen Iverson is one, and I still don't understand why we don't bring, as far as recruiting and stuff is concerned, and putting our image out there, Allen Iverson, Reggie Williams, Charles Smith, Eric Floyd, and all these different players. Because what brought us to Georgetown was y'all. We didn't go to Georgetown for, you know, like I said, I didn't know the academic part of Georgetown. When people pick a school, an athlete picks a school based on the program. That makes sense. If I go to Northwestern, I'm interested in being a sportscaster.
Right.
You know, writing and stuff. That particular program is bringing me to Northwestern. So I'm an athlete. I'm doing things to better my career. Where can I further my career in this particular sport? Georgetown was it because we saw y'all. We saw, you know, I still remember that game of the century against Ralph Sampson. You know, all that, you know.
The hype was better than the game, but that's okay. The hype was crazy.
Like, you and your line, boy. And like Bill said, man, we heard stories about, you know, y'all defensive prowess on the court. Son, you would never get up against a Gene Smith playing like, you know, I mean, me personally, I would never forget my experience at Georgetown. And I would say it's 50-50. 50% of the players that, you know, my teammates and everyone that I enjoyed playing with, and 50% Thompson and the staff. You know, you can't go without remembering, like, he used to piss us off. Like, I still remember running, and you sit in that chair and just like, like,
worse.
Yeah, I'm
worse.
like, get your ass up and do something. Like damn. You know, he was, I would never, like I said, basketball-wise, nah, like the experience, because, you know, I wasn't playing, and you want to play. But as far as my teammates and friends, like I said, Ronnie Thompson, woo, got me through a lot of tough situations at the school, and that was his son, you know. Mark Tillman. For those, I'm going to say Kemet, but for those who don't know who Kemet is, it's Sam Jefferson, because he said I never say his name. Alonzo Mourning, Mark Tillman, Dwayne Bryant, Smitty. Like I said, oh man, Ronnie Highsmith. When I first got to Georgetown, man, like it wasn't hard for me to be that way with Milton, because that's how Ronnie was with me. You know, I had no idea how to navigate through that system. It wasn't for Ronnie, I'd have been out of there quick.
It wasn't meant to be, fam. It wasn't meant to be. You were meant to get through how you got through your journey. You clearly are making the most of that journey, and you're giving back in your own way. Milton, we're going to close with you because we're going over an hour, and it's on a Sunday. And I want to thank you both for giving me this time. It's not going to be the last time. The next time I come on with Milton, I'm going to have me some video.
Okay.
I'm not even going to need him. I'm going to find me some video somewhere.
That's what you got to do, man.
But Milton, I had the opportunity to listen to you and Johnny on the podcast back in February, your podcast. And I really, I like the way you speak. I like the way you break things down. So if you could just give us some final remarks as we take it home. I really appreciate that.
I have to put this disclaimer out there, Gene. I have to put this out there that whatever country that I've been to and played and guys that I played against, none of those guys, right, were on the level of my teammates at Georgetown. So, and it's the only thing that I have to go by because I played 2 years at Georgetown and I actually came out, I entered my name in the draft with 2 years left to play. So the only example that I have of college basketball is Georgetown. And so I'm not being funny, but pro basketball, if you will, was kind of like a letdown because I was used to so much competition. I was used to pros coming back, like you said, guys coming back in the summertime. And it's just the older that I get, I'm able to, I heard you mention my basketball school, and what I try to instill in my kids is just what I learned from Coach Thompson. So it's just me trying to pass on the wisdom that I received from a great man, pass on wisdom that I received from OGs like yourself, Johnny Jones, and just trying to make sure that I can help create the next wave of good people and pro basketball players. And I think that's what we all strive for. It's funny, I heard Johnny mention it, but when I talk to my own students or I talk to my own pro players, I find myself going back to something that Coach Thompson instilled in me. And so it's just my way of giving back. I was blessed to have learned from a legend, and it's what I owe the next generation, is to pass on the wisdom that I received from my experiences, from my pro experiences. But kind of like we all know, it's not easy being an African-American man in our own country, let alone in another country. And so I think, yes, I hear Johnny talk about his students, and he teaches his students. I think it's up to us to kind of give them, yes, the basketball part, but basketball, you can only play until you're so old. Pro basketball, I was blessed to play until I was 40 years old, but you have to figure out what you want kids to do once they can't play anymore. And everyone's not going to have a chance to go to Georgetown University, or you're not going to have a chance to play pro basketball. But what you can be is a productive person in society, and you can be a role model. And I think it's up to us to carry on, those of us that were blessed to be under his tutelage, to carry on his message and his wisdom, and to make sure that we leave this place in a better situation than when we came. And it's a blessing to have guys that I look up to, even to this day, like both of you guys, and just trying to push forward and do my part. I think that if we can do our part to push the next generation to be great, I think Coach will be happy with each person that he has instilled wisdom in. I'm hoping, and it's funny, I haven't seen him in about 4 years. I went up to Georgetown to take my son to meet him, and I still try to live up to those standards that he instilled in me at 17 years old. So it's something that that I don't think you ever, when you are influenced by someone of that magnitude, I don't think you ever stop trying to live up to those standards and try to be the best you can, because that's what was taught to us at a very young age. And so I'm just blessed, man. I keep using that word blessed. I think 50 years old, to make it to 50 is a blessing for an inner city guy like myself, right? Truly a blessing. Any color, race, whatever color you are, to make it to 50 is a blessing. So it just inspires me, talking to guys like yourselves, inspires me to do more, and it lets me know that I have to do more, and that the job's not done, my brother.
Thank you. It could not have been said more eloquently. Johnny, I definitely want to give a shout out to your dad. Anybody that drops 85 points, you know, those are big shoes to fill, but you did it your way, fam. You did it your way. I want to thank you both. Hoya Locker Room.
Stansberry.
What's that? Stansberry?
Yeah, Markham Stansberry.
Thanks to Malcolm Stansberry, the legend.
Markham Stansberry, my illustrious producer who wants to stay out of it, but Markham Stansberry, thank you for helping me. And I gotta give us a shout out to my graphics art person that does my flyers. I know you guys love my flyer. I know you loved it.
Yeah.
Tanisha Best, T Best 25. But thank you both, man. Hoya Locker Room, done. Salute to you both. Don't be strangers. Call up your ex-teammates, even if they don't call you.
Will do.
We'll be in touch, fellas.
Thank you.
Okay, team.
All right.
Thanks, brother. All righty.